Young Justice, Episode 9 review. Let's begin. First, we start off with, a scene in space, just different star patterns and combinations, and then you see some yellow like crystals. And then you see some red like crystals, and you're like, what is going on? What is these things? And then I remember them specifically from Young Justice episode 1, but I know that's a long time ago, so not everybody's going to remember. And as we fast forward, you hear a man talking, and he's talking about the good and evil and the balance of the universe. And as we fast forward, we see Earth, and then we see Vandal Savage. Now, we've seen this story before in season 1 of Vandal Savage's story, but this episode of Young Justice takes it even deeper. Now, as we go forward, we see Manhattan, May 13th. The last arc of Young Justice, I believe, ended in the end of March. So this is like a month or two later of what happened on Santa Prisca with Artemis. Now, as we go forward, we see young students capturing these little green things. They look like the aliens from season 2. I forgot their name, and we see these 3 students who you are using magic, and already that dealt with Zatanna, and then you hear her voice as she captures, I think, 3 of those missing little green things, and she goes over to her students and tells them, the things they did right, the things they did wrong. And she's letting them know, hey, you're the best students I've ever had. And they look at her and say, we're the only students you've ever had. And then something happens. One of those red crystals comes down to the sky and starts to scan and sends out a signal. And the whole planet is feeling this signal. As we look, we see Salem, May 13th, the same day, passing through Dr. Fate's house. He feels the energy that goes through, and he's like, oh, what is that? As we can see Hollywood, May 13th, different coast, but almost, I think, same time. Yeah, same time. You see the energy blast goes through the Outsider's tower. And then as we move forward, we see Coinchian Peak. That's May 14th. Now that's a day later, but we'll get to that at the end. And as we go, we see the guy from last season, who I guess is manipulating Brion, telling them how many metahumans have come from all over the world. He's talking to the League, the Light, let me say it right, and Vandal Savage. And then something happens. That same energy wave goes over, and who notices it first is the Chaos guy. And he starts losing his mind. You can see it in his face, his eyes. He's losing it. And he's like, listen, I gotta go. And then Vandal Savage just looks like, because he's like, he kind of knows what's going on. And then, to my surprise, we get a backstory. But we already got a backstory of Vandal Savage before. So I've started looking like, we know this. What is different? And then the creators of Young Justice gave us even more than we had last time. We see Vandal Savage and some children. And we know Vandal Savage has a daughter now, but now we're seeing these different children, like when he first came up, and these were his children. These were the first metahumans. So what I think Young Justice is saying, that the metahuman gene started in Vandal Savage, because remember, he's immortal because he slept next to a rock. So he is the creation of the meta gene, and he ended up leaving his home, wandering, and then returning back to only notice that his home is destroyed and his children and his people are slaughtered. And who does he find? the person who does a lot of chaos, just laughing. And he sees Vandal Savage and he's like, well, here, I got another one. And as we fast forward, they all get on the merry-go-round and pick their favorite animals. This is Zatanna and her students after what just happened in the air. And as we go forward, they're on these horses and different animals, and they're talking. And somebody asks, where are you from? How did you get your powers? And then the other one slips out. She was one part Shazam, but she gave the power up. So she's part of the Shazam family. Very interesting. Who knows where that's going to go? But once again, using the Young Justice creators is using the entire palette of DC. A bus almost hit him, and he's like, why is the bus driving at night? And he's like, don't worry about it. And Zatanna's like, don't worry about it. Buses drive at night. And as we see, we see the sign Madame Xanadu. And it's like, okay, I remember seeing her from season 1. They go into her shop, they talk, and you find out that her palace or her store leads to different stores across the country and the world. Let me say not country, and the world. And she's like, I need help to find where that signal's coming from. And as you know, she's like, all right, I'll help you. And now, as we fast forward back, you see the Lord of Chaos just standing there sitting on the pile of dead bodies and just killing Vandal Savage. And he finds out that Vandal Savage is immortal, and he's like, oh, this is great. I get to kill him over and over and over again. And as we move forward, we see one of these red crystals heading to just a regular museum, and it beams some type of space rock or whatever rock it is and turns into a monster. And then what proceeds after that is that a child is born. And as far as we know, her name is Child, because that's what the security guard who's firing upon them named her. And he gets killed very quickly, but she wants to know how he is constructed and how humans are built. Obviously, she's not from this world or this dimension, and she's very curious. And as we fast forward back, we're in Madame Xanadu's shop, and she's talking to Zatanna, and Zatanna pays her to head to where that source is. And she told Zatanna, hey, be careful, because I've never felt this type of power in my lifetime. So she knows it's serious. And as they get there, what do they find? They find a deconstructed security guard, down to the bones and to the meat. And as we go forward, we see Vandal Savage getting killed over and over again for 300 days, 300 nights. And Vandal Savage says, listen, I got a plan, and if you give me 1,000 years, I'll show you my plan. I'll let you know what's going on. And because, by the way, at first he didn't want to listen to him, but after a while he's like, all right, I'm intrigued. Let's see this magic plan of yours. Let's see what you want to do. Let's see what you're after. I think Vandal Savage really hate him, and he wants to get him back, but he just hasn't figured it out yet. That's just my theory. Fast forward, we go to see Artemis, the Lord of Chaos, not Artemis, Zatanna, the Lord of Chaos comes in, and he's like, what? And they both scream at each other, what did you do? And then a fight ensues. She tries to do the Dr. Fate thing. He bashes that away. He's like, it took me 14 days to get out of that. I'm not doing that again. And then they start fighting, and she's like, pour your powers into me. And that's what they do, but it's really not enough. This is a powerful person, and he takes out the Shazam girl very easily, strikes her, gives her back the power. They try to strike him with his own magic. It didn't work, because he's like, ooh, tingly. And he tries to take the kid, I think his name is Kali, try to throw him through a wall. And as we fast forward, that child and that monster, still May 13th, They settle down to a spot, and she's like, all right, time to summon this other guy who now has Zatanna in a chokehold. He's got the upper hand. She's laying down her spell, to summon him. He got the Shazam girl in a chokehold, Zatanna in a chokehold, and now she's about to summon him. And he hears the summoning, and he's like, "Oh, just when I'm about to kill him." And he said, out of all the people, why would they send her? So obviously this little child is not a person you want to see. And everybody's let go. He gets summoned. He meets her face to face. And I guess that's where they're going to discuss whatever they haven't discussed in 1,000 years. And then you see Vandal Savage and the narrator from the beginning, and we see this guy. Kind of looks like a Batman, but he's a black guy. I don't know him very well. Maybe you guys out there know him. And he's telling Vandal Savage, or asking him, well, what are you gonna do? They're here. And Vandal's like, what do you want? And quickly after that, he's gone. And then we get the end credit scenes. So and I think the end credit scene was of Beast Boy giving some type of speech about the Outsiders. So it seems now like we're getting down into the crux of this season. We went through a lot of different turns, twists and turns to get to where we are now. So it seems the truth and the main theme of season 4 will start to unveil. Now remember, we have 26 episodes, so we're only in 9. So we got a long way to go, but we're finally into the main story. And it took us a while to get here, but at first, it was a little bit off, but I find as we've gotten farther and farther, everything is new, everything is nice, everything is fun. They're building on things we've seen in season 1, season 2, season 3. They're doing a lot, and they're doing it well. I can't wait to see what happens next week. Okay, that is my Young Justice episode 9 review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.